بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على سيد المرسلين سيدنا وحبيبنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم تسليما كثيرا ربنا لك الحمد كما ينبغي لجلال وجهك ولعظيم سلطانك سبحانك لا نحصي ثناء عليك أنت كما أثنيت على نفسك اللهم صل وسلم وبارك على سيدنا وحبيبنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. So we're going to continue with the farewell address of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Last week, most of the time we spent talking about usury and the evils of usury and the importance of an alternative system. Now afterwards, some people asked questions about various fatwa for getting a house, if it's your only house, primary residence, and you have children and you can't get a big enough apartment. If you're comfortable with those fatwas, then al-birru husnul khuluq والإثم ما حاك في النفس وكرهت أن يطلع عليه الناس. So righteousness is good character, and sin is what causes agitation in your soul, and you wouldn't want people to know you were involved with it. So if you're comfortable and you're not agitated and you take such a fatwa, then may Allah Ta'ala be with you and give you tawfiq. But under no circumstances should a person become wheeling and dealing with interest-based transaction, flipping houses they're not going to live in, that they buy with a conventional mortgage. That's and we mentioned the warnings against interest, war from Allah. فَأْذَنُوا بِحَرْبٍ مِّنَ اللَّهِ وَرَسُولِهِ. Be warned of war from Allah and His Messenger. رِبَ سَبْعُونَ حُوبًا أَهْوَانُهَا كَوَقْعِ الرَّجُلِ أُمَّةً. Interest is 70 degrees of sin. The least of them is like a person having relations with his mother. That's the least. So what would the greatest, what would 70 degrees above that be? So anyway, so we talked about that last week. This week, the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam switches to another topic. And these are all major topics. So he says, قال صلى الله عليه وسلم وإن دماء الجاهلية موضوعة وإن أول دم نبدأ به دم عبر بن ربيعة بن الحارث بن العبد المطلب وإن مآثر الجاهلية موضوعة غير السدانة والسقايا والعمد قود وشبح العمد ما قتل بالعصا والحجر وفيه 100 بعير فمن زاد فهو من أهل الجاهلية ألا هل بلغت اللهم فاشهد. So the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam in this particular section of the speech is talking first of all about blood feuds. So he says the blood retribution of pre-Islamic times is remitted. And the first claim of blood that we remit is that of Amr bin Rabi'ah bin al-Harith bin Abdul Muttalib. In other words, a relative of the Prophet. So this relative of his was killed by some members of Bani Hudayl, who was one of the desert tribes, Arab tribes. And the Prophet ﷺ is saying that our family will not seek any retribution by just killing anyone from Bani Hudayl. So it's like the Hatfields and McCoys. So the Hatfields kill a McCoy and the McCoys go out and kill any Hatfield. It's like the Bloods and the Crips, or the Norteños and Soleños. They kill one of us, we kill one of them. They don't even think of the guilty party. It's just you one of them, you're a Hatfield, you're a McCoy, you're from Bani Hudayl. And then so they would go out and kill someone, and then, oh, you're from Quraysh. And it goes back and forth, back and forth. So he says, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, is remitted. In other words, it's dropped. And then, as was the case, Allahumma salli rasulillah, an interest where he started with his own family. Here he also starts with his own family. So just to emphasize, this religion isn't about personal privilege. It's not about the people in charge having one standard and the people at the bottom having another standard. As he mentioned in hadith, in fact, we'll reference the part of it later on, where he says, إن الله طيب ولا يقبل إلا طيبا وإن الله أمر المرسلين أمر المؤمنين بما أمر به المرسلين. That Allah is good and pure, He only accepts that which is good and pure. And Allah has commanded the believers with the same thing He's commanded the prophets with, and vice versa. So the prophets pray and we pray. We don't pray and the prophets don't pray. They don't have to pray. They arrived, they're with Allah. We're still struggling to get there. No, they pray, we pray. They fast, we fast. We fast, they fast. Alayhim as-salam. And so here he also starts with his family in remitting the claim of blood that they had over Bani Hudayl for their murder of Amr bin Rabi' bin Harith bin Abdul Muttalib. And then he says, all the institutions of pre-Islamic days are voided other than the institution of the custodianship of the Kaaba and that of providing water to the pilgrims. So Sadana is the custodianship and Saqaya is providing water for the pilgrims. Those remained in the hands of the families they had been in during the Jahili period. And then he says, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, murder is subject to retribution. So murder is intentional killing. Al-amad, so al-qatl al-amad, qawad, is subject to retribution for the killer. While manslaughter, such as, in other words, the family of the deceased can have that person killed, or they can accept 100 camels, as he will explain. Whereas manslaughter, there's no qisas. You don't kill a person who is guilty of manslaughter. Then he explains, while manslaughter such as a death resulting from a stick or stone that would not ordinarily kill is governed by blood money, by the diya. So, and not qisas, not retribution. So meaning if you threw a stone about that big at someone, which you shouldn't, you shouldn't throw pebbles, they could put people's eye out. But a stone that big and you're mad, oh, you're such an idiot, and it hit them just right, like right in the temple, just right, and killed them. There wouldn't be any qisas because ordinarily a stone that big wouldn't kill. So that's what he meant. مَا قُتِلَ بِالْعَصَى or hajar. Or you hit someone with a thin stick that might ordinarily leave a welt on them, but it wouldn't ordinarily kill. So you just whacked them, but you whacked them just right at the nape of the neck, and it hit the bam, and they just dropped dead. You wouldn't be liable to yourself be killed, which would be not murder, it would be manslaughter. You intended to hit them, but not to kill them. But you would have to pay the 100 camels. So he says, such as murder is subject to retribution, while manslaughter, such as a death resulting from a stick or stone that would not ordinarily kill, is governed by blood money. The compensation owed to the family of the deceased is 100 camels. Whoever gives or demands more is displaying pre-Islamic behavior. Have I not delivered the message? O Allah, bear witness. So here the Prophet ﷺ is consolidating the order, the social order that he's creating, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, by emphasizing any institution that involved injustice, such as these blood feuds, or giving privilege to certain families, except for the feeding, the care of the Kaaba and the precincts, and giving water to the pilgrims, they're all suspended. And he also, the practice of blood feuds, setting families against families, tribes against tribes. And if you extrapolate from that, nations against nations is suspended. It has no validity because there's no basis. Like the wars we're fighting, they have no basis. That this country. So I said, if you extrapolate from that, they're invalid. So people say, oh, you want to impose Sharia. One of the reasons they have a problem with that, it would invalidate the foundation of these wars. You couldn't do it. So we should introduce these ideas into the popular discourse as much as possible. Because we're fighting wars, so no, we're fighting the terrorists. You fight terrorism with police work. That's how, because there's one person out there, he has a bomb, he's going to blow up a bunch of innocent people. You fight that by going and bombing his village, then everyone in the surrounding villages will hate you. And whatever he's involved with, they're going to go join. No, you start investigating and try to find out who he's been communicating with, who gave him a visa, how he's been moving, who the people he's been associating with. Has he purchased anything that might be used for explosives? Was he in contact with agents from a foreign state that might have provided him with high explosives? Police work. It's not war, tanks and planes and jets and bombs and all this stuff. So that's why we say they have no justification. And then when you make enough money, you shut it down anyway. Because it's even not about that. It's just about making money, profiteering. The war profit, and it didn't start with Iraq, it didn't start with Vietnam. It started, you know where the real war profiteering in this country started? It started with Geronimo. Seriously, after Geronimo escaped with 38 followers, most of them were women and children and old people. And at that point, he was old. They had an army of 10,000 U.S. cavalry chasing Geronimo around the southwest and down into Mexico. And they set up trading posts all around the route to support the army. So it wasn't about Geronimo and his 38 followers. That's a 38. It was about the trading posts and the money and the business. It was all war profiteering. So they say war is bad for business unless you're in the business of war. But what the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam is saying, anyone who's killed by revenge and by extension any unjust way, this has no validity. That practice is eliminated from our religion. And the fact that some Muslims might get into unjust killing, like we read about every day, that doesn't invalidate the principle. Nor does it undermine the moral strength of our upholding the principle. I say, well, your religion, Muslims are doing this or that, or Muslims, however it's pronounced out there, are doing this and that. That's their business. That's between them and Allah. That doesn't invalidate the fact that I'm not doing it because I believe in Islam and I don't believe as a Muslim I should be doing this. So if someone else is doing that, that doesn't invalidate what I'm doing. And that's the attitude we have to have. Well, that's their problem. It's not my problem. My problem is to make sure I'm right with Allah. And what someone else does, that's between them and Allah. Allahul Musta'an. So we're reminded, we talked about the sanctity of innocent life. Allah Ta'ala is saying, whoever kills an innocent life other than retribution for murder, it's as if they're, or murderous corruption, in the earth. It's as if they've killed all of humanity. Whoever saves an innocent life, it's like they've saved all of humanity. So we talked about that. A point that's implicit in what the Prophet said, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, when he said, whoever increases over the 100 camels, that person has engaged in pre-Islamic ignorance, is displaying a characteristic of Jahiliyyah. That's a point here. In other words, our job is to obey Allah. Our job isn't to prove we're super Muslim. So some people, for example, think if I do more than I'm required when I fast, so I'll fast in Ramadan, I won't break fast until after Taraweeh, because I'm tough. And I don't need to eat or drink anything. There's no virtue in that. The virtue is in following the Sunnah. So the whole purpose of Ramadan, يَا أَيُّهَا الَّذِينَ آمَنُوا كُتِبَ عَلَيْكُمُ الصِّيَامُ كَمَا كُتِبَ عَلَى الَّذِينَ مِنْ قَبْلِكُمْ لَعَلَّكُمْ تَتَّقُونَ. It's taqwa. So it's meticulously following the rules so that your consciousness of Allah grows. And one of the rules of Ramadan, once you've confirmed the sun is set, is hastening the iftar, not delaying it. And then some people don't take the morning meal, so I don't need the suhoor, because, number one, it'll allow me to get up later. And number two, I'm a tough guy, so I don't need to eat anything. I could last all day. There's no virtue in that. You're going over and beyond. The virtue is in taking the pre-dawn meal, because it's the Sunnah. And so adhering to the Sunnah, this is a manifestation of taqwa. لَعَلَّكُمْ تَتَّقُونَ. Fasting has been ordained for you, as it was ordained for those who preceded you, in order that you grow in your consciousness of Allah. So we don't grow in our consciousness of Allah by going over and beyond what Allah has prescribed for us. So that's a message implicit in what the Prophet ﷺ said there. فَمَنْ زَادَ فَهُوَ مِنْ أَهْلِ الْجَاهِلِيَّةِ. Whoever gives more, takes more than the 10 camels. This is from Jahiliyyah. The Prophet ﷺ, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, if you unintentionally kill someone, then 100 camels are owed from you. Not 110, not 95, but 100. The Prophet ﷺ is also in this, his suspending the blood retribution, is alerting us to the fact that, and that's a big thing, like murder is a big thing. But in all of our affairs, back and forth, retribution is not a part of our religion. Because what it does, it means you're focusing too much on the people and not enough on Allah. So, he stepped on my toe, the next time I see the brother, I'm going to step on his toe. You're thinking about that brother too much. You need to be thinking about Allah. The sister, she didn't give me salam last Jummah. Next Jummah, I'm not giving her salam. You're thinking too much about that sister. You should be thinking about Allah, because if you're thinking about Allah, you don't have time to worry about who stepped on your toe, who gave you salam. There's no time. Be with Allah. And that's so sweet. You didn't even feel them stepping on your toe. You're like dhikring, la ilaha illallah, la ilaha illallah. You just go home and your toe is swollen up and red. You're like, you don't know how it happened. You're like, man, someone must have stepped on my toe. But you remember Allah, you're not noticing. So the point though, if you find yourself getting bogged down in this way of thinking, just let it go. Let it go and start thinking about Allah. And then Allah will remove that from your heart. Life is too short. We can't, as believers, we can't go through life focusing on what people do. They're talking about you, mashallah, may Allah give them long life and good health. There's too much work to do. So you get bogged down. And when you get caught in those cycles, just like these cycles of retribution and murder, it takes more and more time. Because each level is more demanding. Each level is more demanding. Each level is more demanding. So a person has to stop it, just cut it off, get it out of their life. You know, someone's talking about you, when you see them, go give them a hug. Then that's your payback, because they're all messed up. I don't like this brother, you're hugging on me. La ilaha illallah. So then he says, sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, أما بعد أيها الناس إن الشيطان قد يئس عفوا قد يئس قد يئس أن يعبد في أرضكم هذه ولكنه قد رضي أن يطاع فيما سوى ذلك مما تحقرون من أعمالكم فاحذروه على دينكم. So he says, sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, to proceed, amma ba'd, O people, Satan has despaired that he will be worshipped in this land of yours. However, he is pleased to be obeyed in other ways in your seemingly insignificant actions. So beware of him for the sake of your religion. So Satan, he's not going to get you with a big thing. You're a Muslim. We mentioned this before. He's not going to get you to eat a pork sandwich. The average Muslim, like someone just lost it totally, but the average Muslim, just average Muslim, the Ramadan Eid Muslim, that's like the Christmas Easter Christian, you know, Christmas and Easter, but the Ramadan Eid Muslim, don't even go to Jummah. He's not going to eat pork. She's not going to eat pork. He's not going to get you with the big things, most people. So he comes with the small things. He comes with the subtle things. He comes with the stealth attack. That's how he does it. And to get an idea of first of all, even before that, the Prophet ﷺ is reminding us, Shaitan is our enemy. We mentioned this in Jum'ahs and here and there, but we have to treat him like an enemy. You have to take him as an enemy. This is serious business. Because he's out to get us. He's out to get us. And he'll sneak up on us, so we have to be very careful. Make sure he's not sneaking up on us. Meaning we have to be alert. And very careful. How does, and the greatest protection, Allah tells us, the greatest protection, take the religion seriously. Take Islam seriously. So you see people walking around with, you know, satanic symbols on their clothing, flashing Muhammad goat symbols to each other, and they're Muslims. They're not taking their deen seriously. They're not taking Shaitan as an enemy. They think it's all cute. And we'll talk about that. That's part of Satan's deception. He thinks it's cute. Yeah, or he'll get us to think, oh, it's cute, it's innocent, it's just a little fun. It's just Mickey Mouse. Right? Mickey was the sorcerer's apprentice. Right? That's how it all says. It's just Bewitched. You know, Liz Montgomery doing the thing with her nose. It's just the Smurfs. They're cute. You know, it's just, yeah. And before you know it, that little cute becomes dark and sinister and evil and hard to divorce oneself from. So we have to take the religion seriously. Ya ayyuhalladhina amanu dakhulu fi silmi kaffa wa la tattabi'u khutuwati ash-shaytan innahu lakum aduwwun mubin. O you believers, Ya ayyuhalladhina amanu dakhulu fi silmi kaffa, enter totally into Islam. And don't follow the footsteps of Satan. Verily he is unto you an avowed enemy, a clear enemy. So enter totally into Islam. Because the part that we leave hanging out there, that's where Shaitan's going to take us. You know? So alhamdulillah, I'm on top of my deen. I just got this thing for reefer. That's where Shaitan's going to get you from the reefer, the marijuana. Shaitan gonna get you, I don't drink the hard stuff, I just drink wine. That's where Shaitan's gonna get you. Shaitan gonna pop out of that wine bottle. You're gonna pop the cork and Shaitan's coming out. Like poop! Enter totally. Udkhulu fi silmi kaffa. Enter totally into Islam. And don't follow the footsteps of Shaitan. That's his footsteps. Gambling, alcohol, etc. As Allah Ta'ala warns us in the Quran. So how does he undermine the religion? Through his assaults, not through the big things. To give you an example, Allah Ta'ala mentions in the Quran, الشيطان يعدكم الفقر ويأمركم بالفحشاء والله يعدكم مغفرة منه ورحمة والله واسع عليم. Shaitan threatens you with poverty. So how does Shaitan, what does this have to do with Shaitan undermining our religion? If you spend that, you might lose your job. You better hold on to it. So number one, when we aren't charitable, as individuals, as a society, when we're not charitable, we cut off one of the greatest pathways to righteousness. So Allah Ta'ala mentions in, الشيطان يعدكم الفقر ويأمركم بالفحشاء. And so there's a connection between poverty and indecent behavior. Shaitan يعدكم الفقر, he threatens you with poverty. ويأمركم بالفحشاء, and he commands you with indecency. So what happens? When we don't spend, what's one of the consequences? Allah Ta'ala mentioned in the Quran, لَن تَنَالُوا البِّرَّ حَتَّى تُنْفِقُوا مِمَّا تُحِبُّونَ. You will never attain righteousness until you spend from what you love. And that's what Shaitan tells us not to spend. You have a lot of money, it's easy to spend. Shaitan's not bothering you because he knows he can't do anything. You got $1 million, someone asking you for 10,000, Shaitan's like, don't give him 10,000. You know you're not gonna live, man, get out of here, Shaitan. I got $1 million. 10,000 ain't gonna hurt. But when you have 1,000 and someone asks you for 500, that's when Shaitan comes. He said, man, you only got $1,000. Money can go quick. Better hold on. And that guy should be working anyway. He's healthy. Why are you giving him your money? I could see if it was a sister. Shit. Just start working on you. And then so what happens? So لَن تَنَالُوا البِّرَّ حَتَّى تُنْفِقُوا مِمَّا تُحِبُّونَ. You will not attain righteousness until you spend from what you love. So we don't spend from what we love. Meaning what? Our trust in Allah isn't as firm as it should be. And so our righteousness is undermined. So when we don't have righteousness in our hearts, then we're open to the command to indecency. Because righteousness is the shield. So يَأْمُرُكُمْ الشَّيْطَانُ يَعِدُكُمُ الْفَقْرَ وَيَأْمُرُكُمْ بِالْفَحْشَاءِ. That's the relationship between it. The stinginess, the miserliness blocks the pathway to righteousness. So when there's no righteousness, there's irrighteousness, if that's a word, which is fahsha. Shaitan ya'idukum al-faqr wa ya'murukum bil-fahsha. So we have to repulse Shaitan and resist the temptation to fall into his schemes and his guiles. So Allah promises us from His grace. Wallahu ya'idukum maghfiratan minhu wa fadla. So Allah promised you forgiveness and He promised you His grace, His bounty. Wallahu wasi'un alim. And Allah is most expansive in His bounties. Someone was, they were, Allahumma salli Rasulillah. Yeah, the person was going to compromise their principles to buy something. And the underlying assumption was that if you don't buy it through ill-gotten wealth, you can't get it. And so I told the person, I said, Allah says in the Quran, وَمَا كَانَ عَطَاءُ رَبِّكَ مَحْذُورًا. What your Lord gives is not restricted in any way. What Allah can give is not restricted. Allah controls the bounty of the heavens and the earth. You know? People see it every day. People see there's no rational way that we could attain A, B, C, or D. And then before you know it, you have A, B, C, or D. 30 years ago, if you told the average person, because I remember, and some of you remember, in my lifetime, I went barefoot out of necessity. How many of y'all went barefoot? Because you didn't have any shoes. You just had your shoes for church. You remember that? You didn't, man, and you didn't have like sneakers. We used to buy sneakers from a basket in the supermarket. Remember the wire basket? And we used to call them no names because they had the little block on the back with no name in it. It wasn't Converse or Voight or Beta Bullets. It was just no name. And the bottoms were indestructible, and the top part would wear out in 2 weeks. But if you had no one wanted to fight you, because if you kicked them, you cut their shins all up. They were like ninja weapons. They had that hard white plastic. But that's what you had. Then when it wore out, it's like you're not playing in your church shoes. Those are for school and church. And so you had to go barefoot. Then your mother scrubbed your feet every night, because, you know, bare feet, your feet get dirty fast. So this is in my lifetime. I'm not that old. Now, Ali Antar remembers. He's legitimately old. What was that?
With poor, you would put cardboard
right
in the bottom of your shoe
to cover the hole up. Yeah. That's it. That's it. Now, back then, if someone said in 2014, you're going to have 10 pairs of shoes in your closet, no one will believe it. Right? But now we all have 10 pairs of shoes. We got basketball shoes, tennis shoes, football cleats. Then the football cleats you don't even use for soccer. You have soccer cleats. You have baseball cleats. You used to do it all in the same sneakers. They just call them sneakers. You use them basketball, tennis, football, soccer. We didn't play soccer, but baseball. And now you got, and it's all there. You look in the closet, you like debating, I should give some of this stuff away. But Allah's bounty is expansive. He tests us with it. But never underestimate the bounty. You don't have to compromise your principles to get ahead material in this world. You have to get close to Allah. Because it's the bounty of Allah. وَمَا كَانَ عَطَاءُ رَبِّكَ مَحْذُورًا. The bounty of your Lord is not restricted. It's a bad opinion of Allah. And it shows how much we're relying on ourselves and not on Allah when we say, you know, man, I can only get this house if I sell liquor in my store. No, you can't. You're just paving the way to hell for yourself. You say, if Allah wants me to have this house, I'll get it. Bismillah. I'm just going to work hard. If Allah facilitates, I'll get it. Khalas. We have to trust in Allah. We have to be people who trust in Allah and have very strong and firm principles. Then another verse. So this verse, Shaitan threatens you with poverty because he wants to close the gateway to righteousness. لَن تَنَالُوا الْبِرَّ حَتَّى تُنْفِقُوا مِمَّا تُحِبُّونَ. You will not attain to righteousness until you spend from what you love. Then another verse, Allah Ta'ala, He mentions, يَا أَيُّهَا الَّذِينَ آمَنُوا كُلُوا مِمَّا فِي الْأَرْضِ حَلَالًا طَيِّبًا وَلَا تَتَّبِعُوا خُطُوَاتِ الشَّيْطَانِ إِنَّهُ لَكُمْ عَدُوٌّ مُبِينٌ إِنَّمَا يَأْمُرُكُم بِالسُّوءِ والفحشاء وأن تقولوا على الله ما لا تعلمون. So, O you believers, O humanity rather, يا أيها الناس, I think I said, يا أيها الذين آمنوا, يا أيها الناس كلوا مما في الأرض حلالا طيبا. O humanity, eat from that which is in the earth good and pure. So this is a divine commandment to all of humanity. So now we're eating impure food. Like genetically modified food is not pure. We talked about this before. If you're eating it and you don't have a choice, may Allah make it pure for all of us. If you're not eating it because you say it costs too much, then that's the best thing you could do. That means you could buy, it's twice as expensive as the other stuff. So that means you eat half as much. And you won't have to worry about a diet. Plus you're eating more wholesome food, so you get more nutrition anyway. So half as much, you can still maintain the same body weight. So if you look corpulent and you like it, khalas, you're getting more nutrient from the food, so you can still be corpulent or pleasingly plump or whatever. by eating half as much. Like anyone, any Moroccans in here? You have any Moroccans in here? No Moroccans? It's a Moroccan bread. It's a meal in and of itself. Like the bread, the khubz maghribi. Right? It's not like this bread. I'm telling you, you eat a loaf of Moroccan bread, you're straight for all day. Serious, it's substantive, it's rich. The grain, you can taste the goodness in it. It's not like our bread. Right? Isn't it like some butter?
You don't even need that?
Yeah, just the bread itself. Some olive oil in the bread. You straight.
Olive oil is expensive.
Huh?
Not over there.
Not in Morocco.
Over here it is.
Yeah. Nah. And the bread's not expensive either. Yeah. But anyway, it's the quality of the food, not the quantity. You could eat less of better food and you get probably more nutrition in it than buying something that might be cheaper. But anyway, eat of the good and pure. And don't follow the footsteps of Satan. Verily he is unto you an avowed enemy. Rather he commands you with sin and with that which is despicable, like fahsha. We mentioned this before. In the lexicon it said al-qabih shar'an. So that which is vile by the standards of the divine law. So that's al-fahsha. And that you say against the law that which you don't know. So here, how does this undermine our religion? First, when we eat impure things, our spiritual faculties are dulled. Because you are what you eat. And food that doesn't have barakah, doesn't have blessing, food has blessing in it. Or it might lack blessing. And so now all of our food are products, generally speaking. Much of our food, not all. Categorical statements are rarely true. Much of our food are products. And so that means what? It was made by a machine. It was made by a machine-governed process. It wasn't made by a human being. There's a sheikh in Medina, he passed to Wufia. Sheikh, I think his first name was Zaid al-Bukhari. He's very famous. And when people would go to visit his wife, she would dhikr the whole time she's cooking. And they'd only buy from vendors who were pious people. So they wouldn't buy the ingredients from shopkeepers who were known to have bad character, who weren't pious, didn't read the Quran regularly. They only buy from pious people. So the sheep were from pious farmers. The rice, the bread were from pious vendors. And the whole time she cooked, the people would visit, they hear, Subhanallah, Alhamdulillah, la ilaha illallah, Allahu Akbar, Subhanallah, Alhamdulillah, la ilaha illallah, Allahu Akbar, la ilaha illallah, la ilaha illallah. And they said when you ate the food, you could feel the blessings. You could feel it was tangible, it was real. Compare that to something made by a machine. Then it's got all of these ingredients in it that are part of this industrial process. So as a product, so as food, we want you to eat this right now. And it's so good, you're going to eat it. There's nothing left over. I don't need to put any preservatives in it, because there's not going to be anything left to preserve. I'm going to cook just enough, and whatever I cook, you're going to eat it all, because you're going to taste the blessings and taste the goodness in it. But when I have a product, if it only lasts one day, then all the money I invested in whatever is not purchased is down the proverbial rat hole. So I need this to be able to sit on the shelf for 6 months. So I put preservatives in it. If everyone's making the same thing, why should they buy mine? So I contact one of these chemical laboratories in the Jersey Turnpike around south of New Brunswick, around exit on the Turnpike, around exits 8, 8A, 8B, 7, these big warehouses and laboratories. I said, you know, I need flavor pack 37Y15B. And so I put 37Y15B in my product. So its taste is different than the other biscuits on the market. If it's a biscuit, it's a biscuit. It tastes like a biscuit. But my biscuit, because there are a lot of people from the Middle East in my marketing region, I'm going to put artificial sheep flavor in my biscuits. Stereotype. Like, oh, you're from the South, I'm going to put like collard green flavoring in my biscuit, because I know y'all from the South. So I know, well, make that yani 27F15Y. And so I'm putting these, read the stuff on the label. It's not food, it's a product. It's not made by a human being who's making dhikr, who wants you to eat it. So the animal, that's an animal and not part of an industrial process. That animal, we were talking about this Saturday in the class there, like ذبحتم فأحسن الذبحة. And when you slaughter in the most excellent way. Sharpen your knife, comfort the animal. But I've seen some of you've seen the dhikr slaughter. You make dhikr and the animal just lies down, stretch his neck. Right there, not up there, right there. It just lies down like, because he wants you to eat him. That's what he's put on earth for. Because he's going to live on through you. He's going to become part of your blood. He's going to be part of your cells. And then so he's going to be part of your prayer, part of your fast, part of your dhikr, part of your Quran. Food isn't just a product. It's a whole spiritual reality associated with food. He wants a believer to eat him. And he's ready. He's like, Bismillah, come on, what y'all waiting for? You compare that, you know, you gave him a name. He's in your backyard. The children play with him. He's part of the family. Compared to an animal in one of these feedlots, he's crammed in, 10,000 other animals up to their knees in manure. And so there's so many germs, you have to give them antibiotics so they just won't drop dead from all the diseases being cultivated in the manure that surrounds them, and then they're yanked out by a crane and thrown on the ground, and then a bolt is shot into the back of their brain. Then a bulldozer comes and scoops them up and takes them and dumps them. And then people are eating that. And what is the spiritual reality associating with that whole process? Right, processed food. Processed food. And so Shaitan, he wants us to eat that. Because you are what you eat. And if you eat products, you become a product. And a lot of people today are products. There's empty, there's no soul in the rich meaning of the word. There's just a shell. You become, as Sheikh Hamza say, iPod. You become hollow. And the symbol is a silhouette. You know, the iPod symbol, right? It's a silhouette. You're all hollowed out. Your soul has been taken out. You're just an extension of the products that you define yourself by. A human being, a true human being, defines himself or herself how? By their relationship with their Creator. وَمَا خَلَقْتُ الْإِنسَ وَالْجِنَّ إِلَّا الجن والإنس وما خلقت الجن والإنس إلا ليعبدون. I've only created jinn and human to worship me. That's who we are. That's how we define ourselves. We define ourselves in the context of our worship of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. But when we become hollowed out, we define ourselves in the context of the products we surround ourselves with. And you don't have an iPhone? You don't have an iPad? You don't have I nothing? And if you don't have I nothing, you start feeling like I nothing. That's why so many people are depressed, like I nothing. And so they're depressed. You define yourself by fun. Like we were last night. Anyone besides me was at the Averroes beside my wife? Fundraiser last night? Anyone? You were there?
No, I'm just knitting.
Oh, you just knitting? Okay, it's all good. What are you making? A kufi. Allahu Akbar. May Allah make that kufi, put so much blessing in it. You have to dhikr while you knit though. Yeah. May Allah put so much blessing in that kufi, whoever you give it to, they'll like instantly become more intelligent. They'll like put that kufi, wow. I suddenly feel so much more intellectually astute. It's like, before it was just air, now it's molecules of hydrogen, nitrogen, oxygen, and unimaginable combinations. It's just, wow. Moving right along.
No, don't, please.
Fenton.
At the last Juma here at Lighthouse,
Yes, sir.
Dawood was talking about the relation of food
Naam.
and our ability to worship and relate to the Quran and understand the Quran. So it was right in line with what you're talking about.
So this food, we fill ourselves with these products, we surround ourselves with these products. Anyway, going back to the Averroes, that fundraiser, Dr. Leonard Sachs, he's done a lot of research on social media and all this, and like a disproportionately large number of young girls, teenage girls, are depressed. And the reason they're depressed is because they are led to believe that the other girls are having more fun than they are. Because the average female, this is based on research, this and by non-Muslims, so this is some kind of Muslim slow chauvinistic anti-female Muslim rant. This is non-Muslim research. Will post only like pictures of herself having fun. Like a guy's at the football game, high school guy, He's taking pictures of the game, the action, and put it on his Facebook page. And this is Bobby going for the touchdown. The girl would take a selfie of herself, but like 100, and then fish through and find the 2 where she looks like they're all having the most fun, and then post that on the page. And so you're looking at all these people having fun, and then you're sitting there in your bedroom all alone, bored stiff, you're not having fun, so you get depressed. No, he broke it all down. And this is what's happening. So people they become an extension of this virtual reality they've created that is supposed to just be fun. And then when the reality of their life isn't like that, you get depressed. We're not supposed to have fun. We're supposed to worship Allah. And in doing that, we have fun periodically. Yeah, we do. But we don't exist to have fun, because that can be very depressing. Because you discover like it's not a sustainable model for life. You can't have fun 24/7. It's like, here's me at the party. I'm having so much fun. Here's me at the game. I'm having so much fun. Here's me with all my friends. We're having so much fun. It's like, at a certain point, the whole illusion crashes in on itself. We're supposed to worship Allah. And the guys and he did one like, the absence of something. He's written a bit, boys, the video games. How these video games are destroying our young men and leading them to destroy each other, and then taking away their cultivation of their mind. The average kid out there the average girl plays a video game for like 20 minutes. Then she goes back to texting, and the average guy, the session is like 2.5 hours. And then what are you're playing Grand Theft Auto, right? Where you get the most, you have to get weapons so you can accomplish missions. The best weapons the cops have, so you kill the cops to get the weapons. And you kill each other. Nah, that's the game. You kill each other. They have the games. No, you can't. The avatar you're in to get points and accomplish a mission, you have to be a guy. You can't be a girl. Most of the girls in these games are prostitutes. And then you have to give them your money, and the game is to get money. So after you finish with the prostitute, you kill her and take your money back. Seriously, these are in the video games that primarily guys or boys are playing. You know, stuff is from Shaitan. And we become open to it because the light that Allah has put in our hearts, it grows dim because we're surrounded by so much sin. And because we're eating things that don't cultivate that light, because the food doesn't have any light in it. The food is darkness because it's just a product that's made with no consideration of nurturing the human being within us. Anyway, to move right along to complete this section, so when our spiritual faculties are dimmed, we call on Allah, and that prayer has no power. Why? It was mentioned earlier. We said we come back to this hadith. إِنَّ اللَّهَ طَيِّبٌ وَلَا يَقْبَلُ إِلَّا طَيِّبًا. Allah is good and pure and only accepts that which is good and pure. So our purity is corrupted. And our purity is corrupted. The acceptability of our prayers, the acceptability of our actions is undermined and eroded. So we shouldn't get depressed. We should change our lives if we find ourselves caught up in some of these things. Don't get upset. Don't get depressed. Don't think people are trying to dump on you. We have to change our lives. That's what being a Muslim is all about. It's about discovering the pathways that allow us to tap into and take from the strength of our Lord. So when we become Aziz Billah, we become mighty through Allah, not through our own devices. That's what the religions are. That's when we do superhuman feats. I'll stop here. This is a big section, but we mentioned this last night at the fundraiser there. What our forebears accomplished, they didn't accomplish through their human faculties. So I'll give you an example. We mentioned this last night. Someone who has Mark, you could do it since your phone is out. Do you have access to a calculator? All right, do the math. Imam Ahmed memorized 1,000,000 hadith. Imam Ahmed memorized 1,000,000 hadith. All right. There are a little over 7,000 hadith in Sahih Bukhari. So with 7,500, how many times would you have to memorize Sahih Bukhari? I mean, read it, cover to cover, to read 1,000,000 hadith. How many times? So 1,000,000 divided by 7,500. Yeah.
133,000.
Allahu Akbar. Hey, that's pretty good, Haji. Allahu Akbar.
I got one of them kufis the sister making.
Subhanallah. She made yours with the invisible thread. Yeah, that's Allahu Akbar. That's like invisible ink. She sprayed it on. Alhamdulillah. 133 times. Can you imagine reading Sahih Bukhari cover to cover 133 times? 33,000. Oh, 33.
No, 133.
133. Not 33,000. That's Yemeni math. Subhanallah. But so in an average lifetime, that's twice a year for the entirety of your life to read 1,000,000 hadith. Now imagine memorizing 1,000,000 hadith. You think he did that with just his power? Allah was with him. That's how Muslims changed the world. Allah was with them. Go look at Fakhruddin al-Razi's tafsir. Just start reading it. You're like, how did he learn all this? He's bringing history. He's bringing all of the Quranic sciences. He's bringing logic. He's bringing rhetoric. He's bringing knowledge of previous scriptures. He's bringing all of this at a level so deep that if you specialized in any one of those sciences, you would not reach the level of depth and complexity and nuance and thought that he's bringing in every page. He even says himself that this is beyond me. It's beyond me. And so if we really are serious about changing, look at all this stuff. We're going to change this just based on you have a small minority of Muslims trying to affect change, positive change in their society. And you have all of this facade, all of the institutions. I was just talking with a doctor who just finished, soon, this semester, will finish all of the requisites of medical training. So you went through medical school, you went through advanced training, you went through residency, you went through a fellowship, and you can't get a job teaching at Stanford Medical School or hospital unless you raise your own money. You find a private donor to give Stanford the money to pay your salary. Look at the you have all of this institutionalized exploitation being dumped on people. You're not going to change that. We're not going to change that unless we have plugged into a source of strength and power beyond ourselves. And that's going to take some serious work on our hearts, our souls, our intentions. But it can be done. What humans have done, humans can do. What humans have done, humans can do. But it's going to take serious. We can't be out there playing Grand Theft Auto 5 hours a day like everybody else, and then just barely making our salat. Wait, man, I got to kill one more cop. Then Maghrib's coming. I know Maghrib's coming. Asr's going out. I got 5 minutes. I could pray Maghrib in 2 minutes. That's not going to cut it. All that stuff's got to go, brothers and sisters. It has to go. You have to divorce yourself from this jahiliyyah. Otherwise, we're wasting our time. Inshallah, we'll get Jannah. Because there's a level for Jannah, but the level that's needed to affect positive change is going to take a lot of positive energy. That positive energy cannot be built up if our energy is constantly being tapped by all of the negativity, all of the nudity, all of the indecency, all of the corrupt practices that are out there. And then we become steeped in them. Allahul Musta'an, we stop there inshallah. Any questions before we pray? Yes. Wa alaikum assalam. None. Sir Abdullah Ali, as most of you know, many, if not all, his mom passed away last Saturday, early Saturday morning. He's in Philly. He was blessed to go there and to spend the last day and a half or so of her life with her. She's a good Muslim woman. She was an old-timer. She came through the first resurrection and the second resurrection, and she helped to give her son. And she was actually in the nation. She was the female equivalent of a captain in the Nation of Islam. Huh? A regional captain in the vanguards. My wife was in the vanguards. Okay, Jabir Muhammad, his wife passed, formerly known as Herbert Muhammad, who's one of the producers or promoters of Muhammad Ali for a period of his life. And, and a brother of Imam Warithuddin Muhammad, his soul will make Fatiha for her also. There was also a death, Allahumma salli Rasulillah, passing someone else that we know passed away. Huh?
Sarah Luden's uncle passed away.
Sarah's uncle in Germany. In fact, that's another. And so who else? There was someone else. Sa'ima's mother passed away. There's someone else that a lot of you know, but they escaped me. In any case, so Fatiha ala niyatul maghfirah wa rahmah. فنسأل الله سبحانه وتعالى أن يغفر لهم جميعا ونسأل الله سبحانه وتعالى أن يتقبل حسناتهم وأن يجاوز عن سيئاتهم ونسأل الله سبحانه وتعالى أن يوسع في قبورهم ويعطر قبورهم ونسأل الله سبحانه أن يفتح في قبورهم نوافذ ترى فيها مكانهم في الجنة فنسأل الله لهم ولنا وللمسلمين جميعا التوفيق والعافية والتيسير إنه على كل شيء قدير وإنه سبحانه بالحمد جدير وصلى الله على سيدنا وحبيبنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم تسليما كثيرا سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك أشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت أستغفرك وأتوب إليك والعصر إن الإنسان لفي خسر إلا الذين آمنوا وعملوا الصالحات وتواصوا بالحق وتواصوا بالصبر